Hacking uncertainty. What does that mean? Well, one, there's a lot of uncertainty in our lives on a daily basis. This is a booklet that Pritchett wrote, and it helps us manage what we can control in our lives. Many of us try to grapple with the uncertainty, and we try to control it. We also try to lessen the impact it has on our lives. Now, what do you do to control uncertainty? You can't. What you can do, according to Dr. Pritchett, is manage yourself. Control yourself. A couple of ways to do that. Number one is your attitude. Realize that you're going to have uncertainty in your life. One of my favorite quotes that he has in this booklet, Hacking Uncertainty, is that not everything bad comes to hurt us. Meaning that I really do believe in silver linings. Now, I'm facing a really obscene tax situation, capital gains tax situation. But luckily, I have the person who's going to help me through that. One of the reasons I have been sharing with people in my last podcast is because I know I'm not alone in this craziness with the IRS. So I want people to know that there are ways that you can control it. The other point that he makes in hacking uncertainty is not only your attitude, but your response to situations. You don't want to react when something that you perceive as bad is happening. Mary Morrissey actually says, when something that you perceive is catastrophic happening to you, don't react. Wait 3 days. My therapist used to say, wait a week. Now, this can be a conflict at home. This can be a conflict at work. But if you have the opportunity to pause, put your life on pause when it comes to that issue, and then respond. Once you've looked at it in all different ways. The most important aspect also that Dr. Pritchett talks about is controlling your negative thoughts. Once you can control your negative thoughts, you are allowing more positivity into your life. And that's one of the ways to control uncertainty. So 3 things you can do immediately to help hack uncertainty is your attitude, control negative thoughts, and realize not to react. If you can put something on pause and then respond within a few days or a week to something that might seem catastrophic to you. Moving into Kundalini Yoga, I have included a link. Now, all the links on my podcast are free. I consider my podcast a do-it-yourself, self-help podcast. The links are always free. Nothing that you have to pay for here. The Kundalini Yoga Kriya that I have put on the website, which I'm going to have for the next 40 days, because that's how we practice change. For many of us, it can be even longer. But this is for abundance. It's a very unusual practice because you have to have an orange. Don't do this without an orange. I'm serious. That's what Hara Prakash's teaches us. She's one of my favorite New York teachers. I studied with her when I lived there. Then when the pandemic happened, she was amazing and did free virtual classes every week, and we all cried. But this particular Kriya, you have to do with an orange, and it's specifically regarding abundance in your life. Now, abundance is just like prosperity, meaning that you can have an abundance of good health. You can have an abundance of intrinsic relationships, an abundance of true friends, an abundance of the perfect vocation or career. And that's what leads to prosperity. So practice this for 40 days, and you will immediately see some amazing improvements in your life. Lastly, the section of wine. I'm going to be talking about Glen Ellie for a while, for the next few podcast because the owner of Glen Ellie has an amazing story herself. Many of you know I have another podcast called At Our Age, where I focus on people in their 60s up to their 90s who are doing amazing things still in their lives. They're not giving it up to the old folks home. In her 90s, she has written a book about her wine journey. Madame Lesanc is also the owner of Glen Ellie Vineyards, and this is one of her specific lines where it's made in a different style from her entry wine. So there is a link to the vineyards, there's a video to the vineyards, and there's also a nice link to her book, which you can order online in the United States. To wrap this up, remember, hacking uncertainty comes down to you controlling you, meaning number one, your attitude. Second, your ability to control your negative thoughts, and your resilience, meaning don't react to something that perhaps could be catastrophic to you. Put yourself on pause and respond once you have an opportunity to look at this event, this uncertainty that you might think is catastrophic or brought to harm you. Give it some time to settle and then respond. Don't react. Next, practice this Kriya. It is for abundance, which of course leads to prosperity. Remember, you have to have an orange. It's a short Kriya. It's only about, I think it's about 17 minutes. Lastly, check out the wines from Glen Ellie and certainly look into the book from Madame Lesanc. In her 90s, she wrote a wonderful book about her wine journey. She is someone to admire. Just the fact that she's in her 90s and still running a vineyard in South Africa. She's originally from Bordeaux. To conclude this, I'm Valerie Hale. I create this podcast to help people with their mindsets, which means think good thoughts because they become things. I also teach 2 online classes, virtual classes. One is to help people overcome their fear of public speaking. And I'm also teaching a basic podcasting class because people are asking me. Merci. Au revoir.